Good. Good morning. It's Friday, and we made it through Title IX yesterday. Uh, Guys, that's a tough one, right? I mean, we want to support our women, our girls, for sure. But at the same time, do we have to do it at the detriment of men? Some would say yes. Some would say, you know what? No. Okay. We're moving on to number 21, and this deals with athletics as well. And this one says, oppose allowing biological male transgender athletes to compete against women. Now, we've seen this both at the collegiate level, the Olympic level, and high school level. In middle school, guys, because girls tend to go through puberty before guys. I'll tell you, soccer girls tell you a story. You guys know that girl that played at Trinity Academy for a year, and then she went for the junior national team, Macy Bell. So my son went to middle school and elementary school with Macy Bell. Okay, so they had field day. Did you guys do field day? And okay, well, Macy Bell destroyed all the boys. Okay, she was tall, thin, and fast. Okay, because girls tend to mature earlier than guys, right? So middle school, you're not really seeing a big deal here. Not that you have a lot of transgender middle school athletes yet. Okay, so we get into high school. We've seen a little bit of this. I think it was either New Hampshire or Connecticut, the state cross country championships, where you had a biological male that decided to identify as a woman, okay, as a girl. And obviously, guys, this opens up a lot of issues when we start talking about restrooms. This has been a big deal in this country over the last few years, if you're not familiar, okay? The state of North Carolina passed a law a few years ago saying that you would not allow biological males that identify as females to use female restrooms. The NCAA moved the Division II baseball World Series, college baseball World Series, out of North Carolina because of that law. Okay, this has big implications in society. We are seeing this in our public schools in Kansas. Okay, so what we've tried to do is provide, like non-gender bathrooms for people that have gender dysphoria, if you will. Okay. I don't think using that term gender dysphoria is a negative term. I think it's a medical term. Okay, I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody here. You understand? I'm just talking about the situation, right? Okay, so when it comes to athletics, probably the most famous example of this is Leah Thomas. How many know who Leah Thomas is? Okay, so Leah, I forget what her name used to be when she was a man. Leah was a college swimmer as a man and was, an average college swimmer. Now, if you're in college and you're swimming, you're a pretty good swimmer, okay? But you have your elite swimmers, and then you have your run-of-the-mill people and so forth. Well, when Leah transitioned to becoming a woman, she started swimming against women and with a male biological body, okay, which gave her a distinct advantage. Yes, I'm here to inform you that the male body and the female body are different. Men cannot have babies. Men do not have periods. Males have more muscle mass, thicker bone density, yes, and a lot more testosterone. Yes. Okay. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, is it fair? Now, let's try and be fair to the transgender person that feels like they were born in the wrong body. You understand? Okay, so let's have some sympathy for that and say, I'm glad that I don't have that. Like that. I'm not confused about that. Okay, that I don't worry about that. on a day-to-day basis. But for some people, they do. They really feel that way. Okay. Bruce Jenner is now Caitlyn Jenner. Bruce Jenner, guys, was an Olympic gold medalist decathlete in 1976. And you guys know what decathlon is, right? That's like where you do like 10 different sports or 10 different events. Is it 10? It's 10. Okay. Which means you might be the best athlete in the world if you're a decathlete. Okay. So, yeah, that's now Caitlyn. Okay. If Bruce Jenner had transitioned early, he would not have done that. Okay. And if he transitioned early and then competed as a woman, well, those world records would be still standing. Yes. For a long, 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 long time. Okay. Is it fair to the girls? Is it fair to the female athlete? What's interesting is you have all these women organizations or feminist organizations that are always hating on men because of how they treat women. And very few of these feminist organizations are speaking up about men becoming women and then winning the championships and taking those away, those opportunities from elite women. Because these state championship guys, if you're winning a state championship, you are an elite athlete. And girls, and I know many of you in this room, I was witness to it yesterday, watching you in the weight room yesterday, okay? You put in a lot of work. All the freaking running that you've done in your life, holy crap, okay? And you're going to have somebody come in that has a male advantage and let them take away that championship from you. And not to speak out against it because you're afraid of being called transphobic. Now, there are some women that are speaking out. And guys, when you speak out against this stuff, sometimes you get canceled. You understand? Like, they come down on you because you're being transphobic and you're being hateful. Okay, well, I'm not sure that's a fair characterization of the situation here, is it? Or am I wrong? Are you being transphobic? Somebody say something. She did, didn't she? Thank you. Okay, so it's a fair thing to debate. Okay, some states have passed laws not allowing this. The Olympics has said something to the effect that you have to start taking estrogen by a certain age, okay, in order to compete in the Olympics as a female. Okay. The scary part about that is what I talked about a few weeks ago when we talked about puberty blockers. You know what I mean? So that puberty doesn't take hold. But guys, we're doing this with like 12-year-olds. Okay, which to me, I don't know. To me, it seems insane to allow 12-year-olds to make lifelong decisions about this sort of thing at 12. We don't let 12-year-olds make decisions about anything. We're going to let them make decisions. And then in some public schools, they're not even notifying the parents about that. Because the parents, well, they're going to be transphobic. And we can't have that. Send your kids to private school. I'm telling you. It's a different world than I went to public school. It's a different world. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, you guys already had an opinion on this. I'm just trying to kind of like give you a broader view of it. But it has happened in high school in cross country. I think it was Connecticut, where a transgender female won the state championship. And the best two runners in the state that were women finished second and third. All right. So you guys can go on that one, unless anybody has any other input on that. Okay. All right, let's move on. Now, this one probably takes a little bit of explaining. Okay. In favor of tort reform and medical malpractice lawsuits. Okay. So, any of you guys thinking about law? Okay. Good. We got enough lawyers in this country. Okay. Tort is civil law. So you have criminal law and you have civil law. With me? So if I'm going to sue you, or you're going to sue me, or I'm going to sue Bishop Carroll, or I'm going to sue my doctor or my hospital, okay? And what we're talking about here is medical malpractice, guys. Human error. Have anybody in here ever had to have surgery? Okay. Did they have to put you out? They put you under. Okay. So that's a little bit scary, right? So, guys, they take very good care to make sure that they identify any issues that you may have going into the surgery that would prevent you from having the surgery. Okay, because they don't want you to die on the table. Okay, they don't want something bad to happen to you. Now, my son has had 5 surgeries in his life. He's been under 5 times. Kind of a cool story about my son, Jack. I don't know if any of you guys know him, but my son was born like this, with webbed fingers. These 2 fingers on both hands. Okay, so my first and only born, okay, because Lily was adopted, okay, that you come out of the womb and what do? They count the fingers and toes. Have you heard that? Okay, Doc, what's going on? You know what I mean? First thing I'm thinking is he okay? Right? Second thing I'm thinking, is he ever going to be able to play baseball? Right? I'm kind of freaking out. Not really freaking out, but I'm kind of freaking out. So the doctor said, let me call in another doctor, because it could be one or 2 things. It could be a genetic thing, or it could be a sign of there's something wrong. Okay. Our OBGYN, by the way, was a Carroll grad. I'm like, okay. And this is like my 3rd year I'm teaching at Carroll. He was born in April. And then so they brought in a geneticist to look at my newborn son, who was also a Carroll grad. I'm like, I'm teaching at the right school here. Okay. And he said, listen, what you need to do is check with your family and find out, does anybody in your family have webbed toes or webbed fingers? Okay. Do any of you have family that has that? Okay. And we found a cousin of my wife that has webbed toes. Okay. One thing, I mean, we could have left him like this and he would have been a hell of a swimmer. Right?
That was my first thought.
Yeah. That crossed our mind for like 1 second. Okay. So when he was 1, they went in. 1-year-old, he's going under, and they're going to separate these fingers. Okay. So they were actually connected at the fingernail a little bit. Yeah. So they cut them open like that, and then they took skin from the groin area and grafted it into new skin onto the fingers. Okay. So he's 1 year, he's just learned how to walk. This chubby little thing, and he's got these huge bandages on his hands. Okay. First time we had to change the bandage, my wife passed out. So you know who changed the bandages from there on out. Okay. When he was 6 or 7, they went in and did one hand and just kind of cleaned it up. Okay. And then when he was 10, the other hand. But when he went in at 7, they did his left hand. They wrote in big letters on his right hand, no. So that they wouldn't operate on the wrong hand. Because, guys, that has happened before. So let me give you a scenario. Oh, by the way, my son was able to play piano and play baseball. Okay. All-state pitcher. Okay. Now, you have, let's say you're 55 years old and you're very obese and you're very stationary. You don't move a lot. You have diabetes. Okay. You have bad circulation to your lower extremities. And you just don't move a lot. You sit there a lot. And sometimes when you sit a long time, you hear people get like strokes and stuff, like when you're on long flights, you got to move around and get the blood flowing again. So like this person, let's say the foot, because there's lack of blood flow there for like, I don't know, 72 hours, the foot dies. Like there's no blood flow to it and it dies. And they're like, this is going to get infected. You finally go to the doctor and they're like, we're going to need to remove your right foot. Okay. And so you get in for surgery to remove your right foot and they cut off your left foot instead. Now you have no feet. I'm suing everybody, right? Are we suing everybody? We're suing the doctor, we're suing the nurses, we're suing the hospital, we're suing everybody. You understand? Now, if you get this story in front of a jury, okay, you're going to ask for damages here. How much? Now, first of all, you're gonna be in a wheelchair. And you're going to want a nice wheelchair, right? One of those that's really good. And you're going to have to fit your house for a wheelchair, ramps. You're going to have to widen the doors of each room and so forth. You're going to have to change your bathroom. You have to redo all that. Okay? Then what about driving? You're not going to be able to drive. You got no feet, right? So stop laughing. This is cruel. Okay, well, that could be the argument from the defense. All right. All right. How much? How much you suing for? 2 billion? 2 million.
Actually, yes.
No, not 2 billion. 1.85 million. Is that it? This is like for the rest of your life. What about the pain and suffering? I'm with you, Grace.
Yeah, what's he gonna do by
Okay. This is going to take care of you for the rest of your life. Okay? Can't work anymore. Pain and suffering. All right, now, guys, you're having stomach pain. You got stomach pain. It's like, doc, I don't know what's going on. So they do scans, they do all that, take all your blood work, all that. And they're like, we don't know what's going on. Probably just need to go in there and look. So they open you up and they get in your stomach and there's like an ulcer and there's some type of, let's just say it's a benign tumor. It's not cancer. Okay. So they clean all that up. Okay. And sew you back up. But on accident, they left a sponge in there. So they said, you're going to have some pain and discomfort for, a few days, and you should start to feel better after about a week. Okay. Well, you're in excruciating pain. Okay. And after a week goes by, you're like, doc, it's killing me. I don't know what's going on. And they're like, it's all right. Just give it a few more days. And then it gets worse. Okay. And so you call the ambulance, you go to the hospital, and they're like, we got to open you back up. Another surgery. Okay. Back into the stomach. Oops. We have to tell you, we made a mistake. We left a sponge in there. It's infected. You're going to have to spend a few days in the hospital with antibiotics. You're going to be missing work. I'm sorry. We screwed up. I'm suing. Pain and suffering. How much? Missed wages, all this. How much?
10 million. 100 mil.
That's worse than the feet.
5
5 million? Okay. 5 million. Okay. All right. So now listen, guys, the reason why I'm doing this, most of these cases are settled by the insurance companies. Okay. Because who's paying this? Is the doctor in the hospital paying this? No, their insurance, just like when you guys get in a car accident. If it's your fault, who pays? Your insurance company. Okay? So after you get in your third accident, what happens to your insurance premiums? Yeah. So what happens to the premiums for doctors and hospitals when you have these huge settlements in these malpractice lawsuits? The price of insurance for doctors and hospitals goes up. Now, how are the doctors and hospitals going to pay that insurance premium going through the roof? How are they going to pay for that? By charging more for everybody else's health care. Now, some states have put in what's called tort reform, which puts a cap on how much you can sue for. Listen, my in-laws, this always sounds funny to me when I say it. My in-laws used to live in West Virginia. Because it's West Virginia, guys, okay? It's like Arkansas, okay? My in-laws are from Arkansas. Oh, are they? Okay, it's a generational thing. I probably shouldn't go into it, but what the hell? Okay, so there's an old movie called, God, what can I remember? Have you heard about, like, you know, like, you hear these stories about how hillbillies and stuff and incest and, like, they inbreed, this sort of stuff. So West Virginia and Arkansas are kind of the two states that kind of get that.
Our generation says Alabama.
Oh, you guys say Alabama? Okay. I don't know. Arkansas, you got hills and hillbillies, you know what I mean? And okay, whatever. Okay, so when I say my in-laws are from West Virginia, it just sounds funny to me. Okay. Anyhow, guys, my father-in-law would talk about this about 20 years ago. He said, guys, there's a shortage of doctors in West Virginia because there's no caps on malpractice lawsuits. So the insurance that doctors have to buy to practice, because you guys can't drive in Kansas without insurance. So you can't be a doctor without insurance. And so the premiums that doctors had to pay are so high in West Virginia, they can't make a living being a doctor in West Virginia. So doctors are leaving the state. You understand? So this does have implications besides cost. You have problems of access to health care. So here's where you really run into trouble with putting caps on some of these things is in wrongful death lawsuits. Like you go in for a routine surgery and you're administered the wrong drug and the person dies. You can't, right? You can't put a price on a human life, right? Now, life expectancy is around 80. So if this happened to somebody that was 75, I mean, you're not gonna get a huge settlement on that. But if it's somebody that's 10, who had their whole life in front of them, that's different, right? Now, here's the problem, guys. Healthcare costs, and like healthcare's come up in multiple of these conversations that we've gone through here, the cost of healthcare. This is one of the factors. Illegal immigration is one of the factors of high healthcare costs in this country. So is lawsuits. And guys, we have a lot of lawyers in this country. Sometimes you refer to them as ambulance chasers. You know, follow around people, follow the ambulance to an accident, and then I'm going to represent you because you're the victim in this accident. We're going to sue, and the lawyer's going to make money off of that. You know what I mean? This is a hard one. So guys, it's tough. Now, many states have already done this. Kansas has this. There are limits to how much you can sue for. I could look it up, but I didn't have time this morning. So I've looked it up before. It's lower than you would think. It's nothing like this. Okay. So you decide. Yeah.
So are the caps like, is it one amount or is it like per like type of issue that has like?
I think it's pretty flat. Like the most you can sue for is this much. And it may be determined on what the injury was like. Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna have to look it up. I think it's like 250,000. All right, let's do
And
it.
then after taxes and lawyer costs, that's like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, here. You ready? The damages cap, which is set, Kansas statutes, was set to 325 cases for cases occurring after July 1st, 2018, and before 2022, scheduled to rise to 350,000. Hang on. Economic losses, which were never subject to the state statutory damage cap, economic damages, go away, include compensation for past, future medical treatment, lost income, earning capacity, any other damages that can be captured by an objective dollar amount. There is no limit on these damages. So there's no limit on those economic damages. So I guess it's for like pain and suffering would be your 350 cap.
But you can sue for a lot of different.
For the economic barriers that you will encounter from here on out. There's no limit on that. Should there be? Okay, well, want access to healthcare insurance. You got to consider this as part of the cost of buying health insurance. Okay, the higher, listen, like I said, most of these don't go to a jury because juries like you are very sympathetic right now. Yes, I see it in your eyes. Okay, so the insurance companies are going to try and settle. How much does it take for this to go away? Okay, and then start throwing dollar amounts out, and they'll negotiate. They don't want this to go in front of a jury. Okay. Good? You decide. All right. Drill for oil in the Gulf of Mexico and Anwar. Okay, guys, I'm going to get off course a little bit on this because the whole reason why we're talking about this, let me just say this. When Donald Trump left office, let's just forget the name Donald Trump. Okay. In 2019, this country was energy independent. The United States was a net exporter of oil, which means we were producing enough oil ourselves that we could use all we needed and have extra left over to export. Today, that is not the case. Okay? When Joe Biden was elected president, one of the first things he did was cancel the Keystone Pipeline. The Keystone Pipeline would run from Canada down through the Central Plains of the United States, actually through Kansas, down to the Gulf of Mexico, down near Galveston, Texas, Houston, Texas, okay, which is where we have oil refineries. Because up in Canada, they have these oil sands. So like if you dig in the ground, some places there's sand, and these places in Canada, they have these huge oil, like oil mixed with sand. Okay, and guys, you can separate sand and oil very easily, and then put it on a pipeline and send it down to the Gulf Coast of the United States and refine that oil, okay, into different types of fuels. What different types of fuels do we use? Petroleum's the big one, right? The stuff we put in our car. Sometimes you use oil to put in your engine, right? To lubricate your engine, yes. That's more of a crude oil. You have propane. What else? Jet fuel. Different kind of gas goes into the airplane than your car. Okay? Does anybody know what polypropylene is? See, this is the one, guys. Here's the thing. We are so ignorant in this country about the uses of oil. This right here. This is an oil derivative. Anything that is plastic, this is an oil delivery. Now, this desk may be wood, but it's got a coat of polypropylene over the top of it. Okay? Oil derivative. This, okay? Guys, the shoes you're wearing, the soles of your shoes, oil derivative. Guys, we will never, ever stop using oil. You understand? Okay, now, do we want to move to more greener energy? Some would say yes. Why? Because the environment. Why? Because we're in a climate crisis that's man-made, that's going to destroy the planet in, I don't know, 12 years. That's what AOC said. 12 years. Al Gore said in the 80s that sea levels, by this time, Manhattan would be underwater. None of these climate predictions have come true. In the 70s, they were warning us about an ice age. Then it was global warming, and that wasn't working out, so it became climate change. What? Climate is changing all the time, right? Now, listen, guys, you're not going to like me. I'm a skeptic. Now, see these big lakes up here? What do we call these lakes? Oh, this is Lake Michigan. It's freaking huge, right? Yeah. If Elena, right? No, what's her name from Chicago? Anya. Anya. If Anya was here, she could tell you all about Lake Michigan. Okay. What was Lake Michigan? What did it used to be? What? Who said it? A huge glacier. And then it melted. Did it melt after the Industrial Revolution when we started polluting and putting all this carbon in the atmosphere? Oh no, that happened before the Industrial Revolution. So man didn't cause the earth to warm and melt these glaciers, right? Right? Or did the cavemen do that? There's more trees in North America right now than there were when Columbus landed in this hemisphere. Remember, Columbus never set foot on U.S. soil. What is it to the U.S. soil? Okay, so let's get off the Columbus thing, okay? Now, you can hate Columbus if you want. That's okay. We can do away with Columbus Day and have National Indigenous Day. That's fine. Whatever you want to do. Okay? But we didn't cause that. You understand? The earth changes. Yes? So it's very easy to say this is caused by man. Now, you know what man does create? Pollution. Yes? Carbon is a naturally occurring thing in the atmosphere. Yes? Cows emit methane. Yes? Cow farts. Yes? Who don't like a good steak? You don't like steak? Who doesn't like a good steak? I like good steak. You like meat? Okay, well, guys, they want you to stop eating beef because beef are a big cause of climate change. Cows. Did you know that? And they burp. You know, when cows eat, they burp a lot too. So when you, human beings, fart and burp, you're emitting methane. So you know what we need to do? You know what we need to do in this planet? is we need to reduce the size of the population of this planet so we can protect Mother Nature. Am I a conspiracy theorist? You would not believe. I saved it. Oh, come on now. Okay, I can't find it. Okay, I'll find it and I'll show it to you Monday. Okay, listen. All right, guys, there's so many ways I can go with this. Oh, okay, let's just, for the sake of argument, say we want to go green. Okay, we want to use green energy. We want to get rid of fossil fuels. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We need oil for so much of how we live. Okay, now if you want to go to electric cars, okay, so I'm going to be green. I'm going to buy a Tesla. I think Elon Musk is cool. The Tesla's like really fast, and it's a status symbol. So I'm going to get a Tesla, and I'm going to be green. I'm woke. Guys, look at me. I'm saving the environment. Okay, so studies are showing that you have to drive an electric vehicle about 60,000 miles for it to be carbon neutral based equally with a fossil fuel burning vehicle. Why? Because it costs so much energy to make the batteries. To mine the batteries, you're using big cranes and big, excavators using diesel fuel, okay, to mine the stuff out of the ground. The pollution that is created through the mining process and how bad it is to the environment is one thing. And then you're taking these raw earth metals and then you're transporting them around the world by ship, okay, which is using fuel, okay, and then you're having to manufacture it using electricity. Now, once you build the car and you plug it in, did you guys know that electricity doesn't grow on trees? That when you plug something into the wall, what is providing that electricity? About 30% of the electricity we get in this country comes from coal, which is the dirtiest fossil fuel we have. Now, have we come up with technologies that allow for cleaner burning of coal? Yes, we have. Is the Biden administration allowing us to do that? No. Is China doing it as we speak? Yes, they're building new coal plants that are not near as clean as the ones we can build. So China's going to have cheaper energy than we will to grow their economy, where our energy will be more expensive. So we're kind of fighting the Chinese economically with one hand tied behind our back. Plus, they own the mines for the lithium and the cobalt. Okay, they own the mines in the Congo. So we're having to buy this stuff from the Chinese. And then, hell, to save money, let's build them in China. So we'll let the Chinese build the batteries. Now, we are building the Panasonic plant up in DeSoto, Kansas. That's going to build car batteries for electric cars. Okay? They just broke ground last week. Okay? That's going to create jobs. That's good. But at the same time, let's be intellectually honest about it. When you plug that vehicle in, you plug that Tesla in, 30% of that energy is coming from coal. I don't know if you guys know about all these wind turbines. These wind turbines we have in Kansas, did you know that the vast majority of the electricity created by those goes to the west coast of the United States? Did you guys know that? Look it up. The electric wires, or the what do you call them? Power lines. Okay. the power lines that go across, they go all the way to California. And if you have property that those power lines are on, pay you. Okay. If you have property the wind turbine, they pay you. Okay. But guys, listen, do you think Charles Koch of Koch Industries would invest in wind turbines if he thought he could make money? Yes, but you can't make money doing it. It has to be subsidized by the government. Same with solar. Guys, you can't make money doing it. So the government subsidizes big corporations to make these wind turbines. The company's called Siemens, okay? And they use our tax dollars to fund them. Guys, you can't make money doing this. The most efficient, the most cost-effective type of fuel we have on this planet is oil and natural gas. Okay? Now, today we're paying higher prices than we were paying 2 years ago, 3 years ago, for sure, right? Do you want to bring that back down? The cost of electricity, the cost of gasoline. If you want to bring that down, then you need to drill for oil. Now, how many of you guys know what fracking is? Okay, have any of you guys felt an earthquake in Wichita? That was kind of fun. I mean, yeah, I was laying in bed one day and I was like, oh my God, it's an earthquake in Kansas, okay? But no, it's not too cool, but it's kind of cool. But guys, in Oklahoma, they're fracking. So those of you that don't know what this means, all over this country, not everywhere, but in many parts of this country, underneath our feet is rock. And that rock in some places is called oil shale. And if you drill into that oil shale and then put in high pressured water and different chemicals, it will separate the oil from the rock. Basically, the whole state of Colorado has oil shale under your feet. Okay? Oklahoma, Texas, Pennsylvania, Ohio, they have fracking. Okay? Now, it's more expensive to frack than to just drill into a pool of oil. You know what I mean? So gas prices, fuel prices have to, a barrel of oil has to be a certain price for you to make a profit fracking. It's more expensive, okay? But guys, we have enough oil shale under our feet in this country to supply this country for 500 years or more. Guys, we have so many natural resources in this country, but we're not using them. Now, Alaska, are we drilling for oil in Alaska? Hell yeah, there's a bunch of oil up there. We built a pipeline in the 50s and 60s from Alaska all the way down into the United States. Okay? And we get a lot of oil from it. And a lot of that oil we actually export, put on ships and export to Japan. Okay? But there's this place in Alaska called the Alaska National Wildlife Refuge where you're not allowed to drill, but there's a crap ton of oil under there. And, you know, you want to protect the caribou. Now, the caribou really like the pipeline. Now, the pipeline that they built in Alaska in some parts is elevated above ground so animals can pass underneath it. The caribou just like to hang out by the pipeline because it's warm. Okay? Listen, we can drill right here. While drilling here, I can drill over there, over there, over there, and over there through what's called horizontal drilling. So if we were allowed to drill in ANWR, and we would have a very small footprint, you could put it right here and drill all over the place, okay? We would have more oil. Now, do we want to be energy independent, or do we want to rely on oil from Saudi Arabia, from Iraq, Iran, Nigeria, Mexico, Venezuela? Or do you want to be energy independent? I don't know how many people I pissed off today, but sorry. I'm a skeptic.